Hello guys, it's me, Red the Dinosaur, and today with episode 4 of the Reps and Rambles podcast. It's basically a space of me just speaking my mind out in a more chill way, with not too much editing and all that stuff. Today on this episode, I wanted to talk about GTA Online, one of the most popular MMOs on to this day. I think is still a really high player in terms of multiplayer games. And but in my case, it's like how I started to get tired of it and why I don't cover that game anymore on my channel. So that's basically the start of this podcast, and basically also will feel a lot of questions of people that to this day still ask me and even requested me to make videos about GTA Online, reviewing tracks and cars and all that stuff. I won't do it. As simple as that. I'm not interested on the game. So, but let's start first. Well, as much GTA Online has been with us for at least 10 years. I have been one of its first players back then in December of 2013, in basically Christmas. I know people that has been for months ahead of me, but well, I got my PS3 as a gift in 2013 in Christmas, and well, that's pretty much when it comes to the game. I was there, and back then was more basic. It wasn't that interesting, but it was simple. Not again, it wasn't better. It just was more simple, and later on went into this evolution path with all these small DLCs that we got on PlayStation 3, except obviously for the Heist update that basically was basically a changing event for GT Online for how it was before, and basically crossed a path to be a more serious MMO. And after that, well, you had the basically the evolution to the PlayStation 4 that I had to also wait for quite a while, because I back then I wasn't able to afford a PlayStation 4, so I had to wait until I basically got the new console back then. And obviously you can see basically a huge evolution on the game that was more dense, were most interesting. There were a few more bonus content added to the game, especially to a single player. But even that, it wasn't like a big update in single player, but it still was like a few bonus missions and all that stuff. But also you can see like the evolution of the game that were more serious. The whole updates were larger, were filled with more content. You saw the path of that personally for me made the game quite a bit uninteresting, the part of the businesses and all that stuff. I know there is people out there that says that, oh, the businesses have been is the greatest thing ever, and I think it's not. I don't see myself booting my console to just put 4 or 5 hours doing basically delivery man work. I just don't think that's fun or exciting. But that's me. That I think there is people out there that kinda enjoys that more than me, obviously. But you can see that there was this evolution of the updates that were like better and bigger and all that stuff. Until well, we crossed to Doomsday. That for me personally was like the highest point that the game reached. In my opinion, was basically like the end game for GTA Online. That yes, and I'm gonna resolve that. For me, that should be the last update for GTA Online, because well, it's basically the reaching an endpoint that basically your character is kind of saving the world in just from nuclear war. So it kind of makes sense to that is basically the highest achievement that your silent character can reach. And for me, like that was like basically the top of the top. Even in its terms of difficulty, it was something way above. Like when you play Doomsday, is basically the challenge is even way up than the most difficult missions that we got even before that. You needed a lot of actual skill to actually make that up. And After that, it's like I saw that the game just started to just basically feel content just for the sake of it, because Rockstar knew there was a lot of people with a lot with high, basically deep pockets that were able to just spend a lot of money on shark cards. So they started to just basically justifying making more content and all that stuff. That it wasn't bad, but at the same time, it wasn't good either. And I know that it's gonna be quite difficult for me, because in my case, I really enjoyed Tuners, and that was basically a post Doomsday update. And for me, it's still one of the best updates out there, and that I personally enjoy a lot. But for me, it's part of this feeling content to just, keep this game alive, because you have been reached the end point back then in 2019 or 2018, if you are able to correct me if you want to. But it's that after that, it's like you just see that they are just feeling more content with just for the sake of it. And for me, like even popular updates like Cayo Perico, for me, I just, yes, they are fun at the first and second try, but after that, they are just, I don't know, I just don't feel them. They are just dumb. Like, I know Casino and the Casino Heist, I know they are fan favorites out there, but for me, they are just, just putting anything just to, because the players are asking to it, and that's nothing wrong. But at the same time, it was like, they are just doing it for the sake of doing it. There is nothing much to say. Like, the bugs, glitches, and all that stuff are still there. Some of them are still there until this point. So yeah, that's basically for me. Yeah, 2019 was like, I just want to see a new game. I just want to see something that maybe will show some sort of evolution from GTA Online, or I'm just sick of it, because after a while you get tired of a game. And yeah, even when this game had trying to be interesting for at least 10 years, like, there is a point that it's just the same old game, just trying to regain again your interest. Like, lately with their mission with this character of the mall cop guy from the casino that got basically booted by these guys, that was basically like this fan favorite. I don't remember his name. But yeah, like, overall, it's like trying to regain interest for the sake of it. Like, it's not like trying to make content for the sake of it, like after Doomsday. Nowadays, they are trying to just regain interest no matter what. That means just dripping content really slowly, with terms of cars, with terms of missions, even with terms of clothing. Like, anything to just grab as much players and keep the current player base in their game, instead of basically just leaking players out like the game is currently doing. But in my personal case, it's like, many people out there is like, and I did, like, back then when I started the channel, I started to cover more GTA Online. The fact is like, many people of my circle of friends do that, like GB, Kane, and back then Riley. Like, because all these guys actually, and you see that they are getting views, and they are getting some sort of success just streaming this game. You, in your own, and you're starting a channel, you're saying, well, if this formula works for them, it should work for me. And in some way, kind of works, because it's a popular game. People, in some way, is one of the most like, it's basically the best open world MMO you can get. So you get some sort of success, even if you are just a clown that basically orbs people. Sadly, also, these people have like a target audience, and this game kind of saw in my own eyes, starting my channel, like, this is basically my way to grow up a community and all that stuff. And I kind of did. Like back then, I was streaming a lot of GTA Online. I did series. I did missions with friends. I did a lot of stuff. I even did a PlayStation 5 thing with an account that later on someone just decided to just get back and just not be fully transparent with me. That's another story for another time. But yeah, like I started to, getting involved with more of this GTA Online content and in some way getting an audience out of it. But at the same time, I started to get more interested on what I wanted to cover. That is was car games and racing games, and I tried many times to get involved GTA Online with racing. Like that's why I assisted to many streams of the Gaming Jew. I actually assisted to many podcasts about Rockstar games back then with someone that I knew, and I don't talk too much anymore. I don't talk with this individual anymore, and I started to get involved more with these topics back then. But nowadays, it's like I just don't want to get involved with that, and I just started to grow up, and after that I started to even mix up the racing scene with GTA Online and try to find ways to involve my interest with this game. I just reached the point that I was like tired of it. Like basically, what I'm saying is like testing a car on that game is way more complicated and takes more time than testing a car on Forza Horizon 5 or the Crew 2 or Need for Speed or whatever, even Gran Turismo. Like the logistics behind is incredibly tedious because you have to find a race, and such race have to be able to test such car, and that track has to be able to have the minimal standards to actually be able to test the vehicle properly. And it's a lot of steps that you have to do, and most of those tracks you need to find them by your own, because let's be honest, Rockstar is not the best to do tracks like this. And even like these street tracks that they have back then in 2013, they aren't interesting. Like the best tracks out there to test cars were made by the community, and you basically have to find them to actually basically make the car reviews. And also you have to like the fact that you have to record a lot of stuff, and the shots were depend like the even stuff like the weather on the game and the conditions of lighting on the game were even really really awful, because you have to do all your beauty shots and the review shots on day with full light. If the game was if the game was at night, you were, in my opinion, were unable to record anything, because the game didn't actually give you a lot of natural lighting to keep really good shots, and it was for me impossible. Like even the beauty shots and the pictures that I did back then, that I got highly involved doing snapmatics about cars on the GTA Online community and the racing scene, that I won awards for those pictures. But it like the whole logistics behind those things, behind even pictures, was incredibly nightmarish. And until to this day, that the PlayStation 4, because I mainly play the PlayStation 4 version, I'm just completely refused to play the new version. Is that it's because Rockstar, even the Rockstar editor, as much of a good tool that it has, it was completely flawed, because again, for all these things of the weather, and if the game was at night, you were unable to record it or take pictures unless you put like a million filters that will ruin your shots and all that stuff. It was really, really complicated. And even that, I decided to, review cars when back then, I think I reviewed cars from the contract. If I'm not wrong, that was like the last reviews I did of GTA Online in terms of cars. And they had some views. Some of them were actually pretty good, but the logistics behind was incredibly bad. And after a while, after 2020 and 2021, when basically, and after 2022, I just decided, it's time to just move up. It's time to leave this scene, leave this behind, and focus on what I really want. I really want to just keep doing videos with this community that is very toxic, that you can even talk to them, that you can even discuss something, because even if you say that grinding is bad, or or personally you don't like grinding, people is gonna pile up on you and say that how dare you, that's the only way you should play, and blah blah blah. The community is incredibly toxic in that area, and it was impossible for me to actually, and in my mind it was impossible to get a community from people that was such close-minded. And I just decided to move on. I just decided to cut off anything GTA Online related to this point. I still stream it, but it's only for something very special. Like, is if I want to, and mostly that stream is gonna be overwhelmingly negative about the game, and or B, is something that I really grabs my attention. And until to this day, I don't think there is anything that will grab my attention like back then in tuners. Like, that was like the last update that actually grabbed my attention and I was actually excited about. But now, not anymore. For me, it's like I don't have anything to actually looking forward for that game. And gladly, like, I got my Xbox, like, things were good, and actually I started to see more, got a bit more of luck with when it comes to my finances, and I was able to afford the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S, and even the Asus Ally that I showed up in a few community posts and even on Discord. But and that actually, like, gave me the tools to actually get out of GTA Online, to get out of this community, to get out of that specific game. And for me, it was nice to actually actually very easy to cut ties of that game and that community, because, well, I was basically like only 150 subscribers, even 200, and I didn't have like a lot of GTA Online people that was only subscribed to me just because I covered that game. And for me, it was quite easy to just move on of that game, just getting rid of it, of my channel, and just start creating more focused content towards racing games like Forza Horizon 5, The Crew 2, Gran Turismo, all these games. For me, like, that's like my core and my vision for the channel, and to keep just covering more racing games. That is basically the focus of the channel mostly. But for me, yes, it was good to stream and to cover some cars of GTA Online, the Forgotten Vehicle series that I got back then. It was basically mainly focused on GTA Online and cars that were forgotten by the community. And it was an enjoyable series, but I just got tired of it. My whole projects that were involved with GTA Online were hugely dependent of how I felt with the game and how I was actually feeling myself with basically my thoughts should be very positive with the game to actually keep delivering like series like Forgotten Vehicles or streaming or whatever, or just going to podcasts, also solely focus on Rockstar, all that stuff. but my decision just went downhill. Like nowadays, I just don't want to cover that game anymore, guys. It's like, and I really appreciate, I really appreciate people that still reach out to me and say, you should actually do this, and you should actually, make a tier list of the racing on GTA Online. What is the best? Because, well, you have the between go karts to basically open wheel series, and we got the NASCAR inspired hot ring racers and all that stuff. And people decides me, hey, you should actually, you review that and give your opinion and see if you like it or not. But in my opinion, it's like, I just can't. I just can't see myself basically going, because I have to go solo. Everything has moving to PlayStation 5, and I just refuse to play that stupid port. For me, it's just completely. It doesn't worth it. And and seeing myself trying to basically record every single thing, to basically the races back then in 2013, to basically the open wheel races and the street races and all that stuff. It's just boring. It doesn't attract to me anymore. It's just a lot of logistics and recording and audio and editing, just for how much? Just get any views at all, because most of the people that basically subscribe to my channel are more interested towards, more towards Forza or actual racing games than GTA Online. And even when GTA Online has some sort of racing to it, it's not as, focused as the games I mentioned. And it's just that it's too much. For me, it's just too much logistics for absolutely nothing. And my peak of interest to the game is died. It has died. Like, for me, I played the game more of as a meme, or when I'm stupidly bored, or in this case when I needed to record B-roll for this episode of the podcast. But for me, like, GTA Online is as good as that. I just don't want to cover more content of it, and I don't see myself going again to that path unless GTA 6 comes out and actually delivers something new. That is basically the main point. I'm just more interested to see what Rockstar can actually bring up to the table in the future with GTA 6. In terms of cars, maybe some sort of racing, whatever. That is what I'm actually looking forward to. Then just keep basically doing content for a game that is 10 years old and probably is not gonna deliver too much on this point. Like, the game is pretty much very, very it's not far away, but at the same time is quite near to its end game, because, well, GTA 6 is gonna be with us in 2024. Yeah, in 2025, my bad. So is that I want to see something new. I want to actually cover something that is worth it, and at the same time, I just don't want to just keep going and get that and just covering a game that I don't like just for the sake of views, and just get an audience that is only wants GTA Online and is so close-minded that if you don't cover GTA Online, they gonna just leave you. Because I have been seeing that path, that there is like a community that only wants GTA Online, and if you don't cover GTA Online, they just don't gonna show up. And that's not the thing that I want. I want people that is more open-minded, that actually wants to explore other games, other stuff, to, in my case, other type of racing games. Sure, I covered a lot of Forza Horizon 5 on my channel, but at the same time, I try to cover as other things, even when they don't do very good on views. Like, for example, the last update of the Crew 2. Like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing that video, even when it didn't get the results that I wanted. And also Gran Turismo 7. And maybe in the future, I gotta cover the Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. And I still gonna do more videos about Forza Motorsport, even when it's in a very, very fragile position. because I like to just have a lot of ideas to grab that only cover one game, and just for the sake of views, or just stream one game just for because my community is solely focused on that game, and I'm just not looking for that stuff. And at the same time, the type of content creators that you get on GTA Online, I'm not gonna name any names, but most of them, in my opinion, are just basically the mirror of a community that is just completely blinded and close-minded and egoistical, and they are not even a small glimpse of criticism is a big deal for them, and I just don't want to be associated with such people. And at the same time, I had again my bad deals, knowing even an actual really really bad apple that at this time I'm gonna name it, that was JK Gamers. I had the misfortune to actually know him on a podcast, and the guy, even in that, you knew that he was hiding something and covering up something, but that's another episode for another time. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to do when it comes to this game. GTA Online, I'm gonna try to, maybe in the future I will stream it again, but again, that is gonna be like it's not gonna be an overwhelming positive stream. That's all I'm gonna say. I have my opinions on that game that are not good, and they don't gonna go just by. And when something like, for example, a Carrera GT gets released on a game like GTA Online, sure, that is gonna be fun, but at the same time, I'm not gonna forget all the shitty stuff that exists on GTA Online, and all the garbage that the community has been doing for a while, and I'm completely disagreeing with. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That I wanted to talk. I wanted to just vent out for a bit. I know that again, there is a few people out there that wanted me to go back to cover stuff from GTA Online when it comes to cars, racing, all that stuff. But I just don't want to, and I'm gonna stay in that. I just don't want to. So if you want, there is other people that are racing focused on GTA Online, but I just decided to move on, and for me, it was the best choice I ever took, and many people in my circle has also done that, and actually have been better than usual, have been doing better, just not covering GTA Online anymore, and that's the path I'm gonna keep following. I just not gonna look back to covering solely or making reviews of cars on GTA Online, but they don't worth it. The logistics is too much for just a review that is not gonna do well. But that's pretty much it I wanted to talk about, guys. Thank you very much if you stayed just right here on this almost 30 minutes episode of the podcast. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about GTA Online, the state of the game, if you are still interested, or you still keep playing it, and all that stuff. I may able to just basically listen your opinions and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.